What is going on, YouTube? This is Jim and Rachel back with another video, and today we're giving you our E3 2017 thoughts and predictions. So, Rachel, here we are, E3 2017, 1 week away. 1 week. Can you believe it?
I can't believe it. I'm super excited. Despite some of the heartbreaks that we've had leading up to E3, one of the biggest ones was we initially thought that we both got tickets to the Xbox Fan Fest event, and then they canceled them, as you're all probably aware.
Yes, everyone saw my woe is me video and made fun of me, and life was good.
And then we tried again.
Right.
We got one Xbox Fan Fest ticket.
And by we mean you.
Yes.
Even though I was on the website first, this is true.
But I won a ticket, and I was super excited.
Me too.
For about 30 seconds until I realized that we didn't win two.
Right.
So after much deliberation, I decided to transfer my ticket to my husband. So those of you who are going to the Xbox Fan Fest event will get to see Jim. I will not be there. We tried again yesterday to win.
How many fake emails we made,
and it was a very sad story because they got your hopes up again that we might both get to go and both be at the Xbox Fan Fest event, and then nothing. So I will not be there, but
I will be,
and so at least one of us will get to experience it,
and we'll get the loot.
Yes, and we'll get the loot.
So E3, you could say maybe our E3 is off to a somewhat rocky start, but there's still a lot of stuff we do get to do.
That's right. We participated in the PlayStation Experience debacle.
Yeah, that was a nightmare.
Apparently, anyone who is trying to do tickets online hasn't figured out how to do it.
Right.
We did experience that somewhat when we tried to go to BlizzCon a couple of times.
But I don't remember BlizzCon ever canceling and reapplying the raffle. I think it was just hard to get through the first time.
Yeah, and I don't remember it ever being something where the site just completely crashed.
Yeah,
you were just in queue for what seemed like forever.
Right.
But again, we got to go to BlizzCon several times, and that was a great experience. We will be going to the PC gaming show.
Yes, we got tickets to that. We got tickets to EA Play.
Yep.
And we got tickets to the PlayStation Experience, like you mentioned. Plus, obviously, E3, which is the granddaddy of them all.
Plus, the Xbox Fan Fest event.
Well, yeah, I was saying we. I thought we talked about the Xbox thing. But we can rehash that, yes, I'm going.
Yes, Jim is going. I am not going.
So, we normally do prediction videos. It seems like it's just a bunch of small videos. And we decided this year we're just going to do one video. Because why not? So we're just going to do a little live jam here of a mishmash of everything. And we're just going to hit the high level stuff. So we'll save the big three towards the end. But let's start with EA. So EA announced yesterday they had their trailer for the Need for Speed, which looks freaking amazing.
And very excited because of the new wheel, right?
Yeah, now that I got the new G920, that's exactly what I thought. That's exactly what I thought. Now, it's probably going to be a little more arcadey, more like Forza Horizon. We'll have to wait and see. Also, I think the big draw this year for EA has to be Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Battlefront 2, yep.
Which absolutely. I'm so excited to play. The first one was good, but there just wasn't a lot to it. I think they've learned their lesson. They did say there's going to be a single-player campaign. We'll have to wait and see.
Yep, as you all know, I'm very big on the single-player campaign. I think a game is severely lacking if it doesn't have any single-player campaign, with the exception of an MMO. Obviously, we all know when you buy that, you're not buying it for a single-player game.
Well, at least it's a story, though.
Exactly. It has a story, and that's what I'm looking for.
True.
Games that come out without it, I just think shouldn't be a full-price game because it's not a full game.
So I'm excited for EA. It'll be curious to see what the actual presentation itself is like. Sometimes they're a little rocky. Sometimes they're a little stiff.
Yeah.
Either it's this weird 30-minute interview with Pele or this long sports tangent.
And I'm not a big fan of the sports games. I guess I haven't really seen a whole lot of progression on them in a while.
Right. I think
And
a lot of
so-
they still sell well, but there's not much to it. There's always the question of, does it need to become a fee where you just buy into it and every year you get a roster change instead of these wholesale engine changes?
Yeah.
And it's
I can see that.
I'm curious because this is the first year Peter Moore is gone. Peter Moore used to be the chief operating officer. He's gone back to buy a soccer team in Britain, Manchester.
Well, perhaps we
So
now
I'm
understand why so much time was devoted to Pele.
So I'm curious. Oh, I know, right? It's pretty clear. So I'm curious to see the new shape of EA because he was their, I think they call him the chief competitive officer.
Oh, okay.
So we'll have to see what happens with EA. I'm not super excited about anything I see at EA. I never have been.
EA has always been one of the weaker press conferences to
I
me.
agree. So I'm not holding my hopes up. Ubisoft announced they did a trailer for the first time ever, which they haven't done before. And it was a very self-aware trailer. It was about a minute and a half, and they kept redacting the trailer because they didn't want to tell you what was happening. They're like, oh, we're going to show you South Park, which still hasn't been released yet.
Right.
And then
right.
and then it's like, and then we're gonna show you, and then it's like redacted. And then we're gonna show you, and it kept showing you. So I'm curious now if that's actually their press conference. Like, are they gonna open with South Park and show a game, and or are they just joking around? That would be really funny, actually, to go back, the after the thought or whatever,
right.
to see if that actually matches up. But the big takeaway for me was that Aisha Tyler is not going to be there this year. It's first time in I think 4 or 5 years. It even says, "Sorry, Aisha, we don't need you this year," unless it's a big joke and she walks out on stage.
Yeah. So again, I kind of liked her last year. I thought the first couple of years with her were a little bit rough, and she didn't necessarily connect with the fan base.
I agree.
But last year, I thought she did a really good job. I thought she kept the presentation moving. She does a much better job of kind of tying things together and making their whole press conference an event versus everybody else is kind of disjointed as they bring out this developer and that developer and don't really have a good transition between them. So I thought she was a unique characteristic that Ubisoft brought.
Well, rose-colored glasses, because last year's E3 press conference was a little over 2 hours long. You don't remember that? And how painful it was?
Yeah.
So she could bring everything together, but she brought it together a really long time. It took a really long time for her to bring everything together. I don't really know. I don't know. I'm trying to think what to expect from her, or for lack of her. I wonder if that means that they're going to focus more on games and less of the nonsensical, witty banner in between. PlayStation last year did not have an Aisha Tyler or anybody, and that was probably the best press conference anybody's ever seen.
Well, right, so that gets to the point. So if you're not using somebody like that anymore, does that mean that you have some super huge announcements? Such as?
Well, we know Assassin's Creed has been leaked thanks to a GameStop shirt, which we knew was coming.
And
they
again,
did say they were taking some time off.
They said they were taking a year off, so I am extremely hopeful that whatever comes out for Assassin's Creed is good. I loved the Assassin's Creed franchise.
Loved, yeah.
Loved.
Same, yeah. We skipped out on the last few.
We did.
We did not play Unity.
I think Black Flag was the last one that we really played.
Yeah, platinum that actually.
And quite honestly, Black Flag was great, not because of the story, but because of the pirate aspect.
Right. So this is going to be. They said this is supposed to be in Egypt. There is going to be a naval scene, a lot more open world. For me, I think because Assassin's Creed is so near and dear to me, and we've done so many discussions on it. Drop the Animus. Just have it in the past, just because this happened. And if you want to even drop the Assassin's Creed name and just call it something else, and it's like the spiritual successor, I'm okay with that too.
Yeah, I think they need to get back to the story.
Yeah. And
they haven't made characters that are believable, I guess, is the word I'm looking for. But I just haven't been able to connect with the characters. And that's part of what made Assassin's Creed for me.
So the new Ubisoft logo, now it's somebody 3D printed it, and it looks like poop. If you do a top-down view and you turn it sideways, it actually looks like poop when he 3D printed it. He did that on purpose, obviously.
Yeah.
But there's a long blog post about their new logo and about how it stands for new open world, a new character development, and that's right around the time they announced Far Cry 5. They had the first trailer on that, which be the first Far Cry that takes place here in the United States. It's going to take place in some backwater town, I think in Montana or something, or Wyoming or some weird place. So it seems like they care more about character development. Ghost Recon definitely had a lot of character development. So I'm curious.
But along with a whole host of other problems.
Yeah, but the point is, yes, the technical aspect aside, which Ubisoft makes lackluster open world games. Sometimes they're great, sometimes they're not. It's really a crapshoot with them. But it seems like between what they've showed us, I have hope that the story they injected into Watch Dogs 2, even though the gameplay mechanics were garbage, it seems like they understand that. So I'm hoping this is like the perfection of a good technical game with a good story, because it seems like they haven't gotten that like success right since way back to when like really early on Assassin's Creed games. Yep,
I would absolutely agree with that, and that's what I'm hoping for. Unfortunately, for me, a lot of what you can judge from a press conference, though, is just kind of what game is coming out and whether you're really interested in what the story is. And then as it gets closer to release date, you have to flesh out, okay, are there technical issues with this game?
Right.
How's the story, or lack thereof?
True. So moving on to Bethesda. Bethesda, this is going to be their third year now of doing a live press conference.
Okay.
I'm really excited for it, mostly because of Quake Champions. I've spent a lot of time in the demo. I'm a huge Quake fan. The 10 people or so saw my video of how important Quake is to me, and it's one of my favorite videos. Nobody watched it. So maybe I'll post a link to that and try to get that up, or at least validate me as a gamer. Not really so sure what they're going to do this year. We know that last year they teased the new Wolfenstein. If you remember, it opened up, it looked like an old DOS prompt, and then it had Wolfenstein something coming. So we might get to see Wolfenstein this year. I know
I'm a huge fan of Wolfenstein, by the way. That takes me back to my childhood.
Right.
And quite honestly, Wolfenstein that came out, what was it, 2 years ago? 3 years ago?
Yeah, they did like a reboot a couple years ago, and then they had the Old Blood DLC, and that was, I think, maybe 2 years ago.
I love that game. Again, huge Wolfenstein fan over here.
BJ Blazkowicz. We'll see if he comes back.
Yes.
And I'm curious. I'm not really sure what. I don't know what they have in the works. They always seem to pull things out of their hat. They just released Arcane Studios, one of my favorite studios. They're for the Dishonored and the now Prey. They're probably not going to have anything. So that fun open world like Dishonored stuff, which always gets me so hyped, is probably not going to be there. But if Wolfenstein takes up a large portion of the show, I'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to see anything in terms of Doom. That's still pretty new. So they're kind of the unknown. I mean, the one year they did half their press conference was all about Fallout.
Right.
And last year, so last year's a lot about, they're in Doom. So I'm not really sure. Right. I would think they're the biggest unknown. They could be, and when I think back to how we rank them, they're always up there at the top. So whatever they do it well. Mm-hmm. They don't have a huge portfolio, but I don't think they need one if they make good games, which they make freaking amazing games.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been pretty happy with them, obviously. So, kind of an unknown.
I agree.
And I'm excited to see what they have to offer.
I agree. So, moving on to now the big three. We'll start off with Nintendo. Nintendo announced that they are going to be at E3, but they are not going to do a press conference. Once again, it's going to be a Nintendo Direct, followed by a Treehouse. So, what do you think we're going to see from there?
So I'm expecting to see more of the Mario Odyssey game.
Right. Yeah, I think Mario Odyssey is
that's a no-brainer.
With gameplay, if it's going to come out this year. I mean, we're pretty confident they said it is, but I'm not confident is what I was going to say. I'm pretty confident that they're not coming out this year.
So I personally will be waiting in line to play Mario Odyssey at E3.
I am so stoked. Yeah.
We'll come back. We'll give you some thoughts and initial predictions about how Mario Odyssey is going to do.
Right.
So Nintendo lately has devoted a lot of times to ARMS. We've seen
multiple
couple of
ARMS.
Nintendo Directs on that.
And by now, by the time, I believe ARMS launch is right around E3.
So
I think it's mid-June, so it's soon.
I'm excited to get a quick preview of it. Initially, I don't think we were really feeling that game. It looks kind of lackluster.
The more I've seen of it,
the more information I've gotten about it, the cooler it looks.
They made me care.
It makes me think of a souped up version of Wii Boxing. which
Yeah.
to me was one of the
Which has
the
its
best Wii initial games that was out there.
Which really has its roots in everyone's favorite Mike Tyson's Punch Out. So that's really
Yes.
that's really the genesis of all this. Going back to Little Mac.
Yep.
That could be cool. Do you have any crazy, wild predictions or any franchises that need some TLC that need to come back? I have a list, but I wanted to hear yours first.
Metroid.
Yeah, I was going to say Metroid is my number one.
I need a Metroid game. There was not even one for the Wii U.
There was
Come
not
on,
one
guys.
for the Wii U.
We
Now,
gotta
the
step it up.
closest thing we got was that 3DS game, that Federation Force.
Yeah, but no.
But they said it had ties in the Metroid canon, and they actually treated it like a legitimate extension. It sold poorly, and because Nintendo's in Japan and the way they think is odd in terms of game development, they said, well, the numbers weren't high, so clearly there's not an interest in Metroid. That's the last thing they said about it, and this was a while ago. I'm like, no. Just like Star Fox. Like, Star Fox sucked. We love Star Fox. Star Fox is not a cult hit. It's an amazing game, but nobody wanted motion controls, and they gave us motion controls, and nobody bought it. So I'm like, here we go again with this crap of, like, Nintendo being Nintendo, doing Nintendo things. I would love to see Pilot Wings. I know they had a 3DS launch game with it. Pilot Wings is so much fun. The open world aspect of it, I think, would look amazing on a Switch. That's my number. If Metroid is dead, and I don't think it is, I will settle for Pilot Wings. Give me a good Kid Icarus. Kind of got my fix with Fast RMX on F-Zero, so I don't necessarily need that again. But I think back to like old school Nintendo elements, and it's hard not to think of a good Pilot Wings game.
I also am curious to see if they're going to do a Smash Brothers port.
I don't know if I would get it. I feel like I played so much Smash. Like, they would have to do something insane to make me buy it again.
I guess for me, I'm thinking they have the new Amiibos coming out that we're supposed to finish off the series.
And that's going to be the launch, the tie-in?
Yeah.
Cloud and Bayonetta and that sort.
And you tie that in with a bunch of alternate players because they're doing the player one versions. And that not only gives them a reason for you to now buy the ported Smash, but it also launches a whole new collection of Amiibos that people have to get.
That's true.
I don't know. That's my...
I didn't replay a lot. You know, we got the Mario Kart 8, and I'm slowly chipping through it, and some of the multiplayer stuff's fun. I love Dry Bones, but I'm not playing as much as I thought I would. So I'm wondering if a Smash port came out, if I'd be like, we'll see.
Again, I think, though, that is a huge moneymaker for Nintendo, and it reinvigorates all of the Amiibo sales, which were a cash cow for them.
Knowing Miyamoto. Knowing Miyamoto, you're going to get some dorky Pikmin game that nobody wants, because he's obsessed with Pikmin. So I think that's a shoe-in of Pikmin Switch or something like that.
Yep.
So there's Chloe. Chloe's not a big Pikmin fan either.
No.
All right, so moving on to Microsoft. We talked a little bit about the FanFest earlier.
So everybody knows the big thing.
It's got to be Scorpio.
It's got to be Project Scorpio.
What do you think the name's going to be? I think it's going to be called like the Xbox R or the Xbox. It's going to be just a letter, like the Xbox X or something. That's my prediction.
So I'm going with the Xbox One Elite.
Oh, okay. Playing on the whole Pro and Core of the 360 launch.
And matching up with the Elite controller that came out for the Xbox One.
My baby.
I'm just,
My baby.
I'm throwing it out there.
All right, so we know in terms of Scorpio, I think more than half of their show is going to be dedicated to Scorpio.
I would tend to agree that's a big thing. I hope that they talk a lot about the games that are going to support it and how they're going to be different and what my investment is.
Right.
I'm curious to see what their price point on this game console is. I've seen low numbers. I've seen high numbers.
I think 500 is like the cap.
That's about where I would see it.
But it's got a lot of horsepower in it. I don't know if they can get... they're going to sell it at a loss no matter what. It's just how much of a loss they want to sell it at.
Right. And again, this is the way for Xbox to make up some of their market share. Because
True.
the PlayStation Pro can't compete with this right now.
This is true.
So if they price themselves out of the market,
Right.
shame on them.
Yeah, that's true.
So of course, I'm all about the new IPs, right? That's what gets me going from an E3 standpoint. Show me something new, and quite honestly, Microsoft has the money to put into these new IPs.
Right, because they pulled a lot of their money out of what Sony did with the exclusivity financing.
So show me some new IPs. I think it was 2 years ago they talked about Sea of Thieves.
Yep, that'll be here.
I'm excited to see more about that. But I'm all about the new IPs. You know, to me, if Microsoft doesn't show me at least 2 or 3 new ones,
okay,
I consider it to be a kind of a lackluster press conference.
I agree. What I'm concerned about is the Mark Cerny PlayStation announcement conferences that are very technical but very boring, where he walks out on stage and he just goes on and on and on and on. I don't want Xbox to do that. No. They need to show us the hardware. They've talked about it so much.
Well, they don't need to really show us the hardware. They've already pretty much released it.
They had that whole Digital Foundry, like 6-part documentary talking about all of what it can do. Breaking down like the chipset, the RAM, the power supply, like.
So give us a quick recap on it.
So maybe that's smart that they did that earlier, so they could say, okay, if you want to know more, go watch those, because that's what this is. Here's what it looks like, and on with the games.
Yep.
That's what I think they need to do. As far as games, we know Sea of Thieves is coming out, but that I feel that everything I've heard about that, and everybody who's play tested that, sounds like that's just like a little quick, like a throwaway type game. The one I think that they're going to put all their money into is Crackdown 3. Minor technical difficulties. We were talking about Crackdown 3. With Crackdown 3, that was the first game that was supposed to use the cloud, if you remember the cloud-based computing.
Yeah.
And we never saw that. It went away, it vanished, it died. I wonder if they were a lot of that development's been punted to onboard developing or onboard processing with Scorpio because it's got more power. So I think a lot of those games we were going to see, we're going to see now. And that's why I feel like there's going to be a lot of games that we're going to rely on that we're going to see. So I don't know what it's going to be. But I feel like you're going to get a lot of physics-based games. I feel like you're going to get a lot of open world-based games. And they're probably not going to mention the word cloud, but I think in the back of my mind, they shifted all of that processing to the new Scorpio or whatever it's going to be called.
So
that makes the most sense.
I'm hoping for a new Forza game, 7.
Okay, so they've been pretty good about alternating Forzas. So you're going to have Horizon, like we just had Horizon 3 last year. We go to 7. I don't know if it's too soon for a full-blown 7. Maybe they release it next year. I don't know what they could add that made 6 better, though. What do you, like?
I don't know.
Is it just going to be a souped-up, like... That's where I wonder, like, are they going to say, okay, it's coming out, we're doing the same thing, we did some crazy new physics, like... I remember, I think it was 5 when they added water. I was like, oh my god, we got water now.
Yep.
So they added like an element or something. It's like, oh, that's kind of cool. They had more cars, great. They had more races, great, whatever. Integration into the console, whatever. But I feel like if they're going to sell it, they're going to have to sell it with, right now, if they're going to release it this year, it's got to be some Scorpio add-on. It's got to be something. Right. Dynamic lighting, 9,000 frames a second, something.
Agreed. So I think we can both agree that it's too soon to see anything about a new Gears.
Oh yeah, way too soon.
Now, all that being said, Halo 6.
I need to. Now they've already announced numerous times. Sketch, who is the community manager for 343, has been very vocal on Reddit and very vocal on the forums, and he said we are not talking about Halo 6. We are not releasing a Halo 3 Anniversary Edition, but we have something Halo related. Now, if all they do this year is announce a new character for Halo Wars 2 multiplayer, I'm going to be very upset. And I think that's what they're going to do.
Yeah,
my hopes are already low. I'm low. Halo 5 was widely criticized. Bonnie Ross came out earlier this year and said, we're changing the way that we develop our... You don't like Halo 5, Chloe? Bonnie Ross came out this year and said, we're changing the way we're doing the story. We're rebranding it back with Chief. We heard you. I think that game is totally backwards. I think everything they've been doing for the last year or so is completely scrapped. I don't think you're going to see. I think Halo is in a bad state this year.
I don't know. I think you need something Halo related for the Scorpio.
I would love it. I think that would be amazing. But it's just you look at the place that game is. You think about specifically about the advertising that went into Halo 5 and how much that was panned because when it came out, it had nothing to do with the game. So if they're going to show a teaser, if they're going to show a clip of anything, it better be in the game because then we're just going to repeat history once again.
I agree. So here's what I don't want to see Microsoft do.
What's that?
Don't go the path of VR. Please.
Well, they have been playing around with that smart glass for a while. That kind of not smart glass. What was that one called? They had the one where it was
with the Minecraft,
the augmented Minecraft reality. That wasn't smart. I don't remember the name of it. I agree. I think VR.
Stay away from VR.
I agree.
Just
I was going to bring that up.
Don't touch it.
Well, I think that's a great transition into the granddaddy of them all, the big dog, Sony. How much is Sony going to talk about VR this year? I've maintained VR is dead. I thought it was dead on arrival. I still think it's dead. You may see one or two small games on it this year, but to me, VR is an old, dying thing.
So to me, when PlayStation came out with all of their VR games,
right,
and you see the air quotes happening,
right,
because to me, those weren't VR games. Those were tech demos.
True.
I didn't see an actual game. I didn't see something that I wanted to play. I saw something that would be cool for maybe about 15, 20 minutes. And then
the word they used, by the way, was experience.
Oh, okay.
You remember, like Batman had the experience. It wasn't a game. It was and they're very clear about calling it that word. Now, other than Resident Evil 7, there has yet to be a full-blown AAA game that really utilized VR that was not some gimmick experience. And that still, to this day, does not exist.
So, if PlayStation can come out with an actual VR game,
okay,
they might have a chance. Otherwise, I say totally nix it, cut it, don't even mention it, because it's lackluster at best.
I think they'll do a sizzler reel of games coming out, but they won't actually say the word VR. So we know last year was, one of the greatest press conferences the world has ever seen, with just lineup after lineup of amazing games, none of which have come out yet. So
that is absolutely a true statement.
If this is going to be a repeat of last year, we're going to get to see Spider-Man gameplay. We're going to get to see God of War gameplay. We did see Days Gone. We did see a brief snippet of Detroit 2 Human.
Yep.
Is it 2 Human? I think it's called.
So Final Fantasy VII.
Final Fantasy VII, which sounds, according to Square, sounds like it's going to be pushed out. I don't think you're going to see the game before 2020.
Oh my goodness.
They're having a lot of problems. I think they actually released a statement the other day about Kingdom Hearts 3 and Final Fantasy VII and said that they're still a long ways off.
Okay.
So I don't think you're going to... You may get to see another snippet of it, but that was one of those pop things that was so good, but when the other shoe dropped, there was nothing there.
Yeah, there was no follow-up. It was kind of a sad...
If they showed us gameplay of everything last year, including Last of Us gameplay, and it was
Last of Us 2.
If it was a reenactment of last year's entire press conference, but instead of the trailers, they showed gameplay, I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, that would be a big win to me.
They're going to talk about Destiny.
Absolutely. Destiny 2
Destiny is the big unknown in terms, we didn't touch on it on the Scorpio, but it's a big unknown because we don't know what it's capable of doing. We know on PC it's going to be uncapped frame rate, it's going to be all that great stuff. Haven't really talked about what the Destiny PlayStation exclusive is going to be. Haven't talked about how Scorpio may or may not handle it. So I suspect Destiny is going to be a big part of their conference because PlayStation is going to do their best to make sure you get it on their console.
Yes.
Maybe it'll have Pro support. Maybe it'll be maybe with Pro it'll get 60 frames a second or so. I don't know.
Yep. Agreed.
Even though they said that it's not powerful enough, I don't believe that. is there any one franchise or anything that hasn't been around? We'll probably also, before I ask you that, we'll probably also see some of the Uncharted DLC, which centered on some of the other ancillary characters.
So,
which could be good, because they said it was like a 7-hour campaign, which is like a better than Uncharted 3.
Oh. But that being said, we both love the Uncharted franchise.
Yes, we do. It was
so
good.
I'm psyched for DLC. I'm psyched for anything. Even if they're gonna do, I know they said that this was the last one, but it doesn't mean that the franchise has to end.
Right.
You could follow somebody else. There could be someone or something very similar.
So Sony, I can't really. My question to you was going to be like, what do you want to see or what do you need to see? I don't know enough about what they're doing internally to say one way or another. I was genuinely blown away last year by the amount of new games that looked interesting to me.
Not only the new games, but the remakes or the franchises that were continuing. Last year Sony, at least in my opinion, clearly won the E3 press conference.
Yeah.
Hands down. But again, I'm big on show me the games. I want to see the games.
Are we gonna get an open world Parappa the Rapper game? No? Okay. Just curious. I'm with you. I think if they just show more gameplay of the stuff they showed last year, throw us a bone on something new, I think they're fine. Sony has a feast or famine conference streak, though. They're either amazing or they're like...
But the last few years have been really, really good.
They've been getting better but because last year they focused on... There was barely any talking. It was just games. Which is fun. That's my point. No, that's my point. They have it, just like I said earlier about Mark Cerny coming out and just driving the room, to a screeching halt, and just it's so boring. Yeah. They have a problem with being too verbose. And if they get too many developers out there on stage and they talk about, what the next Call of Duty is going to be, we know it's still got a PlayStation exclusive thing, so we're going to see gameplay of that. Fine. I get it. Show us gameplay. But I don't need the 25-minute dissertation beforehand, especially since Call of Duty had their live stream where they did exactly that. So, that's why I'm saying, they're their biggest enemy right now.
So I would also like to see a little bit more about, quite honestly, one of the biggest wins that Sony had last year, Death Stranding.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
So I'm surprised you didn't bring that up.
I know. That was my grand finale.
I thought that was your.
No, I was gonna say that was my grand finale.
Okay.
I don't think that game's anywhere close to being done.
Oh, absolutely not. But I think they keep riding that hype train.
I think so too.
Right, ride that hype train all the way to release day.
So what we're probably gonna do, we're gonna take some stuff out to LA. It might just be cell phone recordings. We'll see. We'll try to do the best we can. Brent has offered to help out in Orlando and continue to add some content. We do tons of stuff. You guys know I do tons of videos on E3. I'm excited.
All right, so.
But yes.
Final wrap up.
Closing thoughts.
What is the one thing that you want to see?
The one thing I want to see from any developer, any game, anything?
Anything.
I don't want to say Pilot Wings because that sounds like kind of petty almost. I need to see a PlayStation Pro controller. I need there to be, not that crap they had before, not that Nikon, Nico, branded one. I want to see a PlayStation 4 Pro controller just like the Elite, but for PlayStation. And that would make me the happiest boy ever.
2 words. Elder Scrolls.
Another Elder Scrolls?
Yes.
So you're hoping Bethesda, that's their big announcement.
That's what I'm hoping for.
Elder Scrolls 7 on Scorpio. Now,
Elder Scrolls, because I mean think about it. Think about how long it's been since Skyrim came out.
It's been like 6 remasters ago.
Exactly.
They may talk about Elder Scrolls when they port it to Switch.
No. That
the Skyrim low res mods.
No. That's not what I'm getting at. A new one. That's what I'm looking for.
Okay. Well, we will see. I mean, we'll be there. We'll do the best we can to talk about it. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your busy day to come talk about games. For everybody else, I got a lot more videos coming up this week. A couple more deep dives on each individual franchise. As always, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Get out there, get hyped for E3, and until next time, we will see you guys on the other side.